Thank you for coming to the school committee meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first we have comments from the community members. Anybody here looking to comment? Sure. Come up, please, and just state your name and...
Hello, my name is Jessica Campbell. I have a son who is a first grader at Indian Brook. This might be familiar territory to you guys because I sent you letters about this incident. It has to do with the bus. On Monday, we had that nasty snowstorm that got really bad as the day went on, and the buses had a lot of trouble. And what happened with my son is that our bus wasn't able to make it up our hill, so that's about half a mile away from my home, and there was a lot of confusion, and the bus driver released my son to the custody of a neighbor of ours that actually was a stranger to us, and had him walk home with him, unbeknownst to me. So the bus, apparently they were getting in contact with the bus company, and the bus company called the school to say that the bus can't get through, we need to contact the parents, and the school wasn't able to do that in a timely fashion. So my son was being dropped off way far away from home, and I was at home waiting for him to get there, and I was calling the bus company, and they didn't know what was happening, and the school wasn't contacting me. And I've spoken to my neighbors since then, and a lot of them, also their children were stuck down at the bottom of the hill, and they also were not informed by the school and didn't know he was being dropped off. So while I know that that's, generally it's a violation of the policy of the bus for a first grader, second graders, kindergartners to be dropped off with someone that's not their parent, I understand also it was a confusing day. But what I would like to, going forward, what I would like to propose is that we have some sort of alternate bus stop policy on days when the weather is not cooperating with the buses. And I know that the buses, they go right by our home for middle school, and they were way behind. The middle school bus was way behind. So it seems like we would have had time to implement some sort of policy where we could have started calling the parents and saying, look, the conditions are deteriorating, the buses are way behind, let's use these alternate bus stops, And it seems like the kind of thing we could send a letter out at the beginning of school and say, this is the alternate bus stop in your neighborhood. If we need to, we can, use these bus stops instead. And then, we have that robocall system that we use for PTA meetings and such, and it seems like it would make sense to use that in emergencies to say, parents, you can go to this alternate bus stop and grab your kids so that we can, organize it. I know it's not something that happens a lot, but I know that it's something that has happened before, that the buses have not been able to get down my street, and I imagine there's other places in Plymouth where the buses have hard times getting through on bad weather days. So it seems like it would make sense to have something in effect so that we, even if it only happens once every couple of years, we can cut down on that confusion that happens when the buses company and the school is trying to get in touch with them. So that would just be my proposal so that it never happens again. We don't have 7-year-olds walking home with strangers in snowstorms.
Mr. Costin, are you familiar with this
I am.
incident? And what did the bus company say?
That, well, first of all, I did send you an email.
You did, yes, thank you, I appreciate that.
I appreciate your comments. I actually was on site that day down in the bus company. There were, at one point, there were probably 8 buses that were stuck in Plymouth, and I was on the phone with the DPW to get Sanders to come, et cetera. The schools were trying to contact parents. I don't, if in fact they used robocalls, I don't know if that was done or not. But I can tell you that in no way should a child been released. That child should have been held on the bus, and at the worst case scenario, brought back to the school. So that's what we've talked with the bus contractor about. I think alternative stops in certain neighborhoods is not a bad idea. I know we do that informally on some of the streets because of the hills, but I think that's something we probably should really look at. And I will say we also have a new software that we're going to be using next year, which at some point will give us more flexibility. Once we get it up and running, it'll give us more flexibility to have alternate bus stops that we can inform parents, and we can plan it into our routes, I think, a little bit better.
That's good.
That's great.
That's good. Okay. Very good. Yes.
Just a
Dr.
follow-up.
Maestas.
I called I think it was the next day, I called your house and the phone rang. I guess you don't have an answering machine? Do you have an
Yes,
answering machine?
I have an answering
You do?
machine, yeah.
I called, and if you had a missed call from the school department, I called and it rang and rang and rang and rang. And I'll have to recheck it again, but I remember I did want to call you, and
Okay.
I called, and for some reason, it just didn't pick up, but.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
no,
appreciate that very much that you
well,
called. Thank you.
Just to let you know that the minute it happened, Mr. Constant and I talked about it. He reached out right to the bus company. He was actually down there. The next day, we debriefed on it, but it really is troubling to us when there's a breakdown. And, from the school district, we want to apologize to you because we know that it can be stressful not knowing where your son is, but second of all, knowing that he's being walked home by someone that you don't know.
Yeah.
I'm glad things worked out.
That's sort of more recent information. I just found that out. For my 7-year-old, I just got that he was alone. So
Okay.
in some ways, I'm comforted to know that there was an adult to
Sure.
walk him. On the other hand, it was a stranger
Sure.
to me. So
Yeah.
that was, it's sort of 6 to 1, half dozen. But I do appreciate that both of you. I mean, that was sort of at the beginning when it first happened and I was getting in touch with the bus company. I just sort of felt like it was falling on deaf ears, which, and I don't want to be someone that's lumping blame on anyone or being a heartbeat. I just want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Just, to say like, okay, look, I know it was confusing. I know it was a terrible day. I know it was rough, but, let's try to learn from that and
Absolutely.
make a change so we make sure it doesn't happen again is all I want to hear.
Dr. Sorensen, you want
Mr.
to?
Costin, I just want to clarify the standard operating procedure is, and I thought I heard you say it, is that kindergartners and first graders are returned back to the school. That's our
And
policy, that's
second.
our procedure.
Kindergarten through.
Right, so this was an error in judgment on the part of that individual bus driver.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
The,
Well, just to follow up with that, and that's a really good point. One of the things that Mr. Constant and I talked about shortly after this was that recognition of who the person is picking the kid up. There should be that recognition that there's a person here. And we have this emergency protocol system that if we do have something happen, we don't release a kid unless they're on the emergency contact list. So that's kind of the protocol if a substitute were to actually pick your child up. So again, we have to work together, make sure that everybody understands exactly what the procedures are. But there is that direct exchange, especially K to 2. I mean, then
Yeah.
we went over that, and it's just something we have to reiterate to our other partners with the bus company.
Ms. Badger, you had something?
So with the alternative bus stops, if we do it, is that something that we'll write into the policy just so that people are aware of? Because I know, 2 years ago was when we went from first to second grade. So, I mean, that should be clearly written out if we're going to go to alternative bus stops, and which I think is a really great idea.
Well, I think what we would do, and again, this is something that we have to look, I mean, we have, I can, hundreds of bus stops.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of bus stops in Plymouth. I think we're going to have to work with the bus company on how they want to manage difficult streets, because not every street has the conditions that we had on that hill. We have some roads that make it hard to pass because of the narrowness. Last year was more of a problem because of the plowing and the buildup of snow, and only one bus could get through. I think what we would probably recommend is that we would look at some of those difficult roads and then propose maybe an alternate for those, not every bus stop.
Yeah, that's what I
You
meant.
know, but I think
that
that
would
would be a
clearly
suggestion
written.
that we would.
And I think we actually do have that informally. There are a number of streets we know we're not going to be able to get up to. And if you recall, a few winters ago, we had a terrible winter. The streets became narrower and narrower, and I was spending a lot of time going out looking at bus stops. We ended up bumping back bus stops to we called winter stops for some streets. So I think that's something that we can do when we plan our routes and let the parents know that historically there are these certain areas and streets that you cannot get up. Now, this storm was unusual. And I can tell you, I've had some other issues, and I watched a video today where a driver refused to allow a neighbor take a child, and the neighbor was a police officer. But she refused to allow the neighbor take a child. So that was kind of both ways. But the bus was stuck for 45 minutes. and until we can get that bus out there. So I think we have to be consistent, and I think we have to identify those areas where we know we're going to have problems. But that storm was just very unusual.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yes,
Well,
Ms. Hunt.
my guess too would be in that situation, it wouldn't be the best thing to keep them on the bus and bring them back to the school because the buses, I mean, because the buses are late, it's dangerous conditions, you're keeping them back on the bus. So again, that alternative, because that's a much better solution than keeping the kids on the bus.
And it does seem that like it has happened before, because the neighbors who had older children were sort of prepared for that to happen, and were sort of, they knew, and they were at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, I didn't grow up right in the bus, and I grew up in Southern California, so the idea that a bus could hit the hill to me is like, yeah, it didn't occur to me. And I mean, looking back now, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see how that would be difficult, but at the time, I didn't even think about it. So, just if somebody could have given me, just the heads up that, like, this is where they go, if, that it is a difficult hill to get up for a big old bus, because,
Yep.
like I said, it's definitely, I imagine it was several years ago, but it has happened before, that winter stop, which.
It will happen
you know,
again.
Yeah, and it'll happen again, yeah, exactly. So, if I knew, and I would have been, absolutely, obviously, I would have been down at that bottom of the hill with everybody else, but I didn't know, so.
I can certainly work with the bus company to come up with some alternative stops for those areas that we know are potentially the hills.
Very good. This was very helpful. Thank you very much
I
for
appreciate
coming
you.
it
tonight.
very much, thank you very much.
Now we have comments from Brianna. You have South first.
Yes. So report cards were just sent home on Friday, so make sure that you start off this last term strong. Seniors only have 29 more days, I think, so make sure you make them count. Don't get, senioritis. The third annual Credit for Life Fair is Wednesday of this week at the Hotel 1620. Over 200 seniors will experience this real-life fair that exposes them to the challenges of finances in the real world. Many local businesses are participating in this wonderful event, and PSHS recently received a financial literacy grant, which is helping fund this event. So on Thursday of this week, the Drugstore Theater is coming to Plymouth. At Plymouth North, the Drugstore Theater will be presented by students who have struggled with addiction. This event has been very popular at many high schools along the South Shore. Tomorrow is the annual Spring Sports Captain Lunch, where the sports captains from both North and South will get together for lunch with a guest speaker. This season, Dr. Myasis will be the speaker, sharing his vision surrounding the Dream Ride 2. The VPA department has had a great month with events and happenings. Don't miss the All-Town Choral Concert tomorrow night at Plymouth North. Our Panther TV program had great success at the recent competition, placing second in New England for their hard work and winning multiple student awards. All tech study decisions and biomedical decisions for incoming ninth graders have been finalized and mailed home to parents. Chris Heron is also coming back as a motivational speaker on Monday, April 25th at 9 a.m. at Plymouth South. The students are looking forward to his powerful presentation. Student council elections will be taking place on May 2nd, so make sure you grab all of your paperwork from Ms. King if you plan on running for a position this year. And lastly, spring sports have begun, and while the weather has been challenging, we would like to thank many of our neighbors for working with the South athletes who have no fields this spring. So we would like to thank Plymouth North, PSMS, PCIS, Fortis Field, and the Recreation Department, the Jungleplex, and even the Eel River Beach Club. The future is very bright after this season.
Very good, Max.
Okay, to start, we just had a couple people go to the South Shore Regional Science Fair. Sophia Odong won first place and earned the opportunity to intern at Genzyme. She also had the third highest score total, and she's an alternate to the Intel International Science Fair. Brandon Valerie was also in attendance, and he won a second place award, and he was invited to compete at the Massachusetts State Science and Engineering Fair. The girls track and field team from this winter placed 11th overall at Nationals with their sprint medley team, and they recently tried on rings. Plymouth High School Color Guard, in collaboration with South, had a great performance at the NESBA finals on March 26th, and they came in second place in the local Scholastic Regional AA division. Senior dinner dance tickets will be on sale during the month of April for $85. Checks or money orders are made payable to the Plymouth North High School Student Activities Fund. Permission slips for non-PN guests are available in Student Services, Directed Studies, or Room 331 and must be returned by May 1st to Miss Allen. Plymouth North High School graduation will be held on Saturday, June 4th at 1 p.m. on the Plymouth North High School Mario J. Romano Field. In the event of bad weather, the ceremony will be in the gymnasium. Other upcoming events for seniors are the Senior Athlete Awards event is Sunday, May 22nd. Hypnotist show is Wednesday, May 25th. Senior show is Thursday, May 26th during school. Class day is Friday, May 27th, and that is also the junior prom. Dinner dance is Tuesday, May 31st. Convocation is Thursday, June 2nd, and graduation, as stated before, is Saturday, June 4th. Spring recess will begin on Monday, April 18th through Friday, April 22nd. Report cards were just sent home with students on Friday, April 8th. 2016 to 2017 bus applications were sent home as well on Friday, April 8th. This year, to take advantage of the discounted rate, please pay by the end of the school year. And every student must fill the form out this year because you have to confirm whether or not you're a bus rider, walker, or if you're driven to school. There was a Paying the College Bill seminar held on April 7th from 6:30 to 8 at Plymouth North High School in the Performing Arts Center. The seminar provided valuable guidance to families as they make a decision on where to attend college. The sophomore class just held an assembly with the Balfour Class Ring Company. It was held Thursday, April 7th during K Block in the PAC. Balfour is also hosting a family-run night tonight from 5 to 7 in the cafeteria at Plymouth North High School. Freshman Academy just held a challenge day on Wednesday, April 6th. It was a half day and students were engaged in a number of academic challenges throughout the half day and did not attend regular classes. PNHS recently welcomed 12 students and 2 teachers from La Acuncion School in Granada, Spain. While here, the students shadowed their host student and became a part of the Plymouth North High School school environment. And the Plymouth North High School robotics team just traveled to the robotics games at Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton, California. The team made it to the semifinals and are scheduled to compete again today. They just returned home tonight.
Very good. A lot of activity going on. Excellent. Next, we have old and new business. And we want to take a spin through that. I think we don't have a very full agenda tonight, so why don't we?
Comments on that, too, so-
We did some updates the last time.
Yeah, let me begin
Communities that care survey.
Yep.
The last entry was Dr. Maestas noted that the CTC survey is done and has been reported to the committee, so we need to keep this one open. Why don't we close this one out, I think?
I think we can. The only, we will most likely continue to offer this. I think there was some question as, when we've been offered again and the results, so I think you did have a presentation on that. So as far as this new business item or old business item, it is complete.
Yeah. So that one will close. Local scholarship application process. We have long entries on this one, but the last entry was Dr. Maestas indicated the plan later in the spring to provide a report relative to the status of and more info about seniors' application process in place. Presentation regarding condition of scholarships discussed.
Just a suggestion,
Dr. Sorensen.
tomorrow I'm attending the all-day scholarship meeting. Why don't we hold this one more meeting, and then I can report back after the all-day tomorrow.
Excellent.
And the second part of that, we still need to get some level of a update on the scholarships. I think it was the Holmes Tabanelli that we were going to get an update from Town Hall. And I think that's the second part of this. So there was 2 pieces. One was the process, and the second was the condition of the scholarships.
Okay, so we'll leave it open. The next meeting will have an update on both those points. The incident tracking database is working fine.
Yep.
A lot more detail now. I like that. Sorry, Ms.
I
Hunt.
actually had some notes on that. I still think they're going into junk for a lot of those incident reports for me. I I know that I've gotten
Look in their
them.
spam.
Like every once in a while, yeah, every once in a while, I'll go on the website that you gave us
Mm-hmm.
the access to, and I'll see stuff in there that I didn't
You're not getting the
necessarily
emails?
get. Yeah, I don't know, but my meeting things are going into the junk box still too, so I don't know how to change that.
Yeah, I
What
don't
I
get
can
the
do-
meetings either.
If I could, Mr. Begley, Google does our filtering, so I've talked to Alan McLean. He has a ticket in for ESB, because the minute Ms. Dargy releases the agenda for, on ESB, it will send you an email that says that
Yeah.
the agenda is ready for review. If you look in your spam,
That's
I
it.
noticed mine was going in there, so I put a ticket in for that one. I also put a ticket in for the database every time I have an incident report, and it should go right to your.
Getting those.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
mine.
and I don't know,
The incident
maybe
reports
we're
I
not
get,
getting
yep.
as many
I
as
get
I
yours.
Yep.
think we are. I know that I don't always.
Yeah, if you go to the if you go to the collective database, you
Yeah.
can see the dates and all that.
Yeah, that's
And then
what I.
if that's different than what you're getting, then you're not getting something.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, what's constituting us getting those incident reports? Because I don't know if we don't always hear about
The
everything.
high-level stuff, if I were to give you incidents, I mean, these are things that that are higher-level
Right.
issues that happen in the district, yeah.
What about, like, I did talk to a parent that was questioning, I guess at North, there were three days in a row, there were stay-in places.
There was what? I didn't hear you.
Stay in place as opposed to an incident report
Lockdown.
or a lockdown. And I know that one wouldn't cause concern, but this parent was alarmed because there were 3 in a row. One was because the power went out, I found out. I think I actually called you. But, if it's something like that where there's multiple ones, would that be something that we would put a message out about to the public?
Well, I think
or-
the stay-in places are called when there's a student in crisis, and they do that.
No, and I know they have to be kind
Yeah.
of top,
Yeah,
kind of confidential too.
We got
Yeah.
individuals for those,
Yeah.
but we didn't get anything that linked them
Yeah.
together.
I didn't get any, but again.
Sounds like you're the only one that's not, so there's
I didn't get anything about the
something,
stay-in places.
it sounds like you have something.
No, I don't typically send out an email for
It doesn't say
stay
stay in place, it says
or-
that there's been an incident
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, it's tied to an incident, not a
I
stay-in
don't
place.
get that. I
Yeah.
don't know what that is.
Well, now that you raised it, we don't know what we're not getting.
Yeah.
So
Right.
maybe we all need to check the database to see if they match with what we know that we've received, to see
Well,
if there's a
that's what I
glitch.
did, knowing that I didn't think I was getting everything, so I would go on and look.
well, I can tell you that usually Gary will text me or call me during the day, and then within 15 minutes, 30 minutes tops after we talk, I get the incident report. So
Yeah.
they come through, I mean, like when he's talking, so I know I'm getting them, and I'm assuming everybody else is getting them also. So we need to find out why they're not going to your mailbox.
They're typically things that will make the news or be in the newspaper, or they're higher-level
Yeah.
activities. If it's, there's stay-in places that get called across the district.
Yeah, and I know that. I
Okay,
think
you
it was
know.
just a concern because there
Yep.
were so many in one week.
Yeah, yeah.
The kids had said something about it, being
Okay.
nervous.
However, to follow up on the other part of that, I don't get the meeting emails. Those I'm still not getting.
Yeah, so that's a
Yeah.
ticket that was filed with
Yep.
Google, and I'll check with Mr. McLean to see what the status is on that.
I-
They're in the
Yeah.
spam.
Yeah, they're there.
Oh, I don't
In
see them
spam.
in, I just
Mark
clear
it.
out spam, so that's why I put them in my
Yeah, there's a,
spam.
About our meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
agenda.
get them anymore either. I used to get them.
Used to
yeah,
get them all the
ES
time, so
Something happened with Google and their filtering, so ESB stuff goes right to spam, and we have a ticket in for that, yeah.
Right.
Can't you just mark it as not spam?
I don't
Like,
think
this
so.
is not
spam?
I've tried that.
I've tried it.
I just go and look anyways, I don't really need the.
I never look in spam, I just wipe it out. That's why it's in spam.
That's
you
why
know?
it's called spam, right.
You're trusting the system.
Sometimes there are gems hidden in your spam. You need to save them.
Take
Okay.
your word for it.
The next one was I don't like the title, but we were looking at the electronic school board, so it's got board docs versus electronic school board, but yeah, like it's the battle of the century kind of thing. So during the NSBA conference, we got presentations from both the
3, actually.
Yep, and I have contacts. They're all contacting me this week. I didn't hear from them today, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hearing from
Yeah, you will.
them
Yeah,
several
yeah.
times. So the biggest takeaways were there was a third player in the mix now. It was called Board Pack, and they were there. They did a demo, but when it comes down to it, it's really price. Because they all have bells and whistles and different features, and some are better than others, and you can cut through the sales pitch. And it really comes down to, like, Board Docs is the slickest presentation, it's the slickest interface, everything's drag and drop, and it's very nice. It's also $12,000 on a recurring maintenance plan, whereas the other ones are. Actually, the board pack was $199.
Awesome.
And it was all cloud-based and everything. In fact, they're all cloud-based now, except we're still on a host server. And that was the one thing that ESB told us they would like us to move over to the cloud. They're coming out with a new version within a week or two, he said, right?
Yeah, like a week, this week or something.
And then that version, if we stop being on the hosted version and go to this new version, he thinks it'll get rid of all of our platform issues and everything.
Okay, we'll keep that, we'll
But
write
I've heard that
down.
before, so,
What's the difference in price between ESB and Board Docs?
well, if you don't, so they are about, we're doing like with 3,500 now for the ESB. And the thing with the Board Docs was their golden package was the $12,000. But they also have a lesser package that's like $4,000, so they'd be in the same ballpark. But some of the features that they sell for the $12,000 package are the features you want, like being able to annotate on the,
We couldn't, that was the
that
board
was,
pack.
that was Board Pack
You
was
could
able to do that.
annotate right on a PDF. I was
Oh,
like.
Board Docs can do that as well. I
Really?
remember that from the
Oh, okay,
presentation.
they didn't show
yes.
us that.
Yeah, they just didn't demo that for us, but they had it, they were obviously
Especially if you're
using
on
it.
an iPad or something.
They were
yeah.
peeling apart Adobe.
That's
They were
awesome.
Yeah,
peeling in
Yep.
Adobe Professional
Yeah, that's
inside of
great.
there,
Yep.
and they were peeling apart Adobe. But
beautiful, but the cost.
they all seem to be able to package it now, so I would assume
It was only $100
Adobe
a month.
probably exposed some of their APIs. So
Mhm.
anyway, there are options out there, so we'll just wait and we'll see what this ESB
looks
is
like.
doing. But I'm going to write them up, and I'm going to talk to their lead guys. Now, one of the sessions I went to was the president of Board Docs did the session, so we have the right contacts anyway, and we'll see what we can do as far as price. Maybe we get a little better price. It seemed like there might be some movement, some room on the price. We'll see. And then we'll update that. The next one, we can close the next one because the letter went out, and
Right.
I'm not surprised. I didn't hear back from anybody, and I don't expect to hear back from anybody. And if we do, we do. But I think we can close that one.
I sent something out right after town meeting, so.
What was that?
I sent out a letter, you mean full day K?
No, I'm almost there. On the MIAA letter.
Oh, yeah, the letter, the letter went out, yes.
You know,
You're right, the letter did go
There's
out.
not really much they can do, and I don't
Yep.
think they're gonna change their tournaments.
Too bad.
Just thanks,
it
we
is.
received it, yeah.
Now, the kindergarten placement notification, so as we all know from town meeting, it was approved, so you were just saying you sent out the letters.
Yeah, I
already.
sent out a letter to the community letting them know that we have kindergarten, our kindergarten is full day, so just proceed with registration. We did get a couple calls about the lottery, like a couple days after, and I don't think they got the word that it was passed at town meeting, so.
Good.
So everyone, it's out there that they just need to come in and register, and we need to know who they are. So if you're planning on having a child in kindergarten next year, they need to go to the school that's designated in your region of town as soon as possible. We need to know who they are.
Yep, perfect. Very good, we can close that one. School supply lists.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we have the packets? Will all the packets be the exact same that everybody gets from school to school
For,
for full day K? Because I know that was a big piece too. Like some people got old material and other people
they
got
should,
current
no,
material.
well, it depends on, yeah, they should be. I mean,
Okay.
the strongest thing that, or the best thing parents can do is attend the meetings, but they did pass information out. Some of it has pertinent information to that school.
Yeah.
But a lot less complicated because of the half-day, full-day paperwork, which
Yep.
was confusing, and people want to know what session they would swap at, or when they would swap. That's done. So all the paperwork that's being passed out now will be consistent as it's a
Okay.
full-day K program.
Okay.
Okay.
School supply list?
Yeah, Dr. Campbell's working with coordinators and principals. We have talked about it in our meetings, administrative meetings, and they're coming up with a consistent document to be shared with everyone and timely in the sense that hopefully over the summer they can get consistent supplies opposed to going in a week after school starts and rushing in to get whatever you need, so.
Or the day school starts.
And one of the things that I have said this to our principals, we do cover the basic school supplies that schools should have for kids, copy paper, things in the classroom, consumables that we need for instruction. And we want our parents to know that. Our teachers should know that as well, that we don't expect teachers or parents to go out and buy school supplies. Sometimes teachers feel they need to buy special things or whatever. That's their decision. But it's one of the things that we've tried to really emphasize, that when we build a budget that is responsible and that there should be supplies to run the class. Now, if there are extra things that they need, binders for organization and thing, that's
worst.
a little bit
That's
different.
what I thought this
The
was.
binders is the worst.
Yeah.
The schools. Yeah.
This is more like the stuff,
They
the
need.
kids get on the first day of school
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll wait on this one still?
Yeah, I would wait until we get some level of guidance and see what happens. And
Okay.
I do believe something's in the works.
All right. Family emergency contacts paperwork. Dr. Maestas indicated that Ms. Backman has been tasked with investigating this possibility.
Yeah, that's in the works. It's a matter of having the software be able to do that as a login portal for registration of students. So it would force every parent to get in and log in. Again, I have to get some information on Ms. Backman as to how real that is and how, if that did happen, how would it happen?
Dr. Sorensen?
The other thought on that, Dr. Maestas, was that if the parents, I realize that's a real problem, getting the parents to log in on a portal and put all that information in there. But what I was thinking when we talked about this before is that if the oldest child in the district filled out the card, or at the emergency card, then that gets entered at one place, and then because of the technology, it goes to all the schools. So it only has to be filled out once and entered once.
Yep.
And now we have it across all the district.
Yeah, we'd probably have to distinguish, sometimes we have to make sure that, we'd have to look at the flow on how that would work, because not all kids live with the same parents, so we'd have to have a fail-safe for that, It's something to think about.
Yeah, you're right, it's complicated, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a flow that has to happen. And
You have to remember, I have 5 sons, and I remember sitting there doing it 5 times.
I hear you.
Well, you know what, there's got to be a way.
It did, a few years ago, it was working, I mean, the number dropped way
But
down.
it's less than, things roll over a lot easier now.
Yeah.
Technology has helped
It
with that.
just seems like there's a few teachers that don't trust the centralized approach. It seems like there are always a few teachers every year that, it's not like before where it was every teacher plus the central
Yeah,
administration.
yeah.
And now it seems like there's just a handful that,
But
at
we only
least
give-
in my experience.
Yeah,
that-
we're only giving out, we should be giving out what is needed from the school for health and emergency purposes. If a teacher's sending something out for more additional information, I'm curious to see what that is. I don't know what they're looking for. one of the
They
things
should
that
all
we've
have
been,
a standard packet.
yeah, we should, absolutely. It should be, if you can't, yeah, it should be in one, in one packet from the school, not multiple.
Yeah.
That would make things really, that'd drive me nuts.
All right. So we'll leave that open too then. Then the committee web pages, the last update was Dr. Maia's inquired about the committee's web pages. Mrs. Dargy noted that Mr. Riley is working on something special.
How special?
That was vague enough.
That has been rolled out.
Yeah.
Updated EDTV pages for the school committee.
Okay,
All of the high definition videos there now.
Okay.
There's also some information about school committee members and.
Yeah, it's got the whole new EdTV logo. Have you,
If you
yeah,
go to
I
the
looked
link-
at, yep. I did look at all the, oops, sorry. I did look at, because I was amazed at how far back our meetings now go, that we have access to. They go way back, because we were looking at stuff from,
we've been in a lot of them.
We were
yeah.
all-
they do, they go all the way back. I mean, we have them digitized now all the way back to, it's like 2010. The other day I was looking at something from 2010. But anyways, that's good. All right, so we can close that one.
I would say.
Then the Plymouth North High School campus traffic reported that the speed bumps have been installed, but we didn't see speed bumps there the other day.
Picking up
They were
for
taken off
snow.
because of the snow. They
Right.
come back,
You had said
yeah,
that.
and they were on about 2 weeks ago, and they had to take them off again. But they will be going back on.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't on
At
there.
least they're removable, right?
Yeah.
I was there today, and
That's
they
good.
were not back yet. I think it's just, they will be going back soon.
All right, good.
Should you remove it
Yeah.
Um,
from the list?
We could remove that one, because we know it's being cared for, and we know why
Yeah,
they're there or
we know
not
why
there.
they're
They're
not.
removable. So we can close that one also. Recycling, the last update was Dr. Maestas reported that he and Dr. Gould continue to work with the powers that be relative to recycling in the schools and hope for a plan within 6 months. So we'll leave that one open also then.
Yeah, it might take longer than 6 months, but we'll, I think, yeah.
If it's not realistic, we should
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
put it out and
education that
make it
needs
just
to.
a goal for next year or
Yeah, I
something.
think, yeah, there's a lot developing with that, and I think eventually we'll be able to give a presentation on.
So the biggest issue are collective bargaining issues, aren't they not?
It's collective bargaining and also the understanding of where our recyclables go, because it's a single stream process. I think we need to
Right.
figure that out, because what happens is paper and plastic go in the same distribution system when it gets to the transfer into these big separating devices. So there's a machine that separates paper and plastic. And what we do, and we've been trained to do, is separate paper and plastic. Well, when it goes into the big truck, it gets mixed in anyway, and it gets separated when it goes to the recycling distribution center. So I think it's a matter of how do we, it's two issues. One is how do we educate our families, and our teachers, that when you put paper and plastic in a recycling bin, that whole thing gets recycled and it goes in the same bin.
Yeah.
And the other one is compost, which is completely separate. But I think it's an education piece, and it becomes what the model is for Plymouth. Again, it goes a little bit against what the town is doing with certain pieces, so we kind of have to kind of work our system out and what we're going to do in the school system to foster recycling.
Because the home because everybody,
Single
the
stream.
vast majority of people now have taken the home
Yes.
option. I think Melissa's numbers were, or JB's numbers were, it's almost
Huge.
universal now. So on recycle day, everything goes in the one recycle thing. I mean, so, and it all gets dumped into the same truck. And
Well, how many times have you been to a
if we
function?
just
and-
followed that procedure,
Well, how many times have you been to a function where people say, well, you don't recycle, you don't have a separate container for plastic? Well, technically,
eat it.
you don't need it. It goes into the same thing anyway when it goes in the
Yeah,
truck.
Right, we don't need it separate, right?
That's
So-
how we mix it.
Yeah, it's a mentality change in a sense, but that's part of our education.
Okay, okay, good. All right, the joint school committee, school council meeting, are we all set to go on this now?
Yes, things are ready to go. Glenn Kuchar is coming. I talked with him, and he
Good.
will kick things
Saw
off
him the other-
at about 7:15. He has about half an hour. He'll kind of talk about his whole position from MASC is the relationship building between, groups and school committee, between homeschool associations, the PTAs, school councils, and what that whole community engagement piece looks like, and how MASC sees that. So he'll be here on the 24th, next Monday, the following Monday, and he will be
What time was it?
7 o'clock. It's in place of our regular school committee meeting,
Yeah, okay.
and that'll be at North High School. So
To the
our
25th.
Yep,
25th?
25th.
I'm sorry,
that's right.
25th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a day off, sorry.
That's all right. Follow up.
Yep, that's
On
Okay.
that agenda for that evening, are we going to, we wrote the policy to address the DSC law about council and the.
Yes.
And the membership on the committees and that has to be presented.
That is on the agenda, and I think there are
On
some,
the agenda.
yeah, who's going to
Should be.
present?
Yeah. And I think Dr. Campbell was going to ask if you, Dr. Sorensen, and you, Mr. Morgan, would help facilitate that
Sure.
discussion.
Sure.
It is on the agenda list. We have about 5 items on the agenda. Gary's going to give a presentation on bookkeeping and financials in clubs and that kind of thing, but
Plan after
strategic plan, I'm going to go over the strategic plan, give a highlight on that, how we use it, how they should use it to foster what we're doing in the district.
How long are we planning the meeting to be? Like 2 hours? 2 hours.
Yeah, it'll be about 2 hours.
That'll be fine. We don't want to overload it and scare them away. But
No, you don't.
definitely want to stress what Glenn's going to talk about.
Yeah, and Glenn has to leave by 7:45, so,
He goes first,
he
right
goes
away.
first, get him right away.
Yep.
Okay?
Good.
Where's the location? Is it
North.
North.
north?
Okay?
Subcommittee and liaison assignments conflict. Dr. Mesa suggests that this might be a topic for the joint meeting on April 25th.
Well,
Which it would, because it's liaisons are for the councils. So, good. NSBA Advocacy Institute. Dr. Mesa has reported that the NSBA Institute had come and gone with no one attending. Yes, they sent several things for that.
I actually have some notes on that, too. I
Good.
was going to bring it up. I know that we didn't really have a whole lot of time to plan with, I think I brought it up at one of the meetings, so what I was suggesting is either close it out, or maybe we can make a policy in the future, so we don't have to go through all that, whether we decide we're going to send 1 or 2 people, or somebody that's not going to the just kind of
We,
framework, because when it was mentioned, or when I brought it up, I think somebody talked about the budget, and someone talked about, and it was kind of like, it was just easier just to let it go at that point, so maybe we can talk about that for next year. So I think it is a good thing, and
as far as our own little advocacy thing, I'd like us to advocate to NSBA and also MASC that they start to think about these sessions and meetings being more virtual. So, I'm like, everybody in the world does virtual meetings. I meet literally half my day with people from all around the world, and I never leave my house. The idea of people traveling across the country to come together for a meeting, a conference that is really filled more about a vacation than doing serious drill down on some items. I really would like us to advocate to these organizations that they really need to update the way they approach things. Yes.
I think, and I agree with you, and I think that the Advocacy Institute, though, is specific. It's very similar to the LegCon that I go to for PTA, where you go to Washington so that you can meet with your legislators while you're there. And I'm pretty sure it's structured really similar to the one I do for PTA, where you have a workshop about the issues that NSBA is really concerned with, and then you spend a day on the Hill actually meeting with your reps from your district. And I think that's probably, you can do that while they have office hours here, but I think with this kind of situation, it is something that is beneficial for you actually to go there. That's just my 2 cents,
Yeah, no,
just because I do it with my other organization.
There might be a happy middle ground somewhere where they at least have a few sessions that are virtual.
Right.
And maybe just once a year or something, they're in person, face-to-face in person. But
Yeah.
the conference the other day, I felt was, the first day was well-attended. The second day, everybody disappeared. They were all touring Boston and everything. It was like half full. After the keynote address, the place emptied out. It just seems like more would be done and people would get more out of it if it was a more robust virtual conference, you know? And not to mention all the municipalities and all the towns and across the country would save quite a bit of money from sending people around. So when do we want to talk about that? So we'll just put that on our own advocacy agenda, if you could.
But should we make a policy as to what we're gonna do when that comes up next year?
We can talk about it.
We don't need a policy for it, I don't think.
Or a procedure?
Procedure.
We can talk about it at our meeting.
Why don't we talk about it at the advocacy subcommittee, and then if we still think that, you know, it's something that we want to do, we'll bring it back to the full committee. Next was the student data privacy in Google Apps for Education and Chromebooks. Dr. Maestas indicated that Mrs. Colby had, that's our technical director, had provided information at the February 15th meeting, so we should close this one too. Chronic traumatic CTE. And Dr. Sorensen has made numerous points on this one. And we're gonna, your last recommendation, Dr. Maestas, was to keep it on our radar, so we'll leave that one open. And Ms. Hunt, no?
I was gonna bring this up actually in committee updates, but I'll bring it up now. Massachusetts PTA had their annual meeting on Saturday, and we had a workshop on this. And we also had a focus group for the Department of Health, where we all had, the parents were in the room, and they either had kids that had concussions or didn't. We had fake names for the report, and we talked, and it was recorded. It was a great workshop. It was very well received. I actually asked the woman, it was the woman from the Department of Health, as well as an athletic trainer for schools. And the information, they talked about CTE, they talked about second, I don't know, it's called something. It's when you get your second one before your first one's gone, and it could be fatal. Second hit syndrome or something like that. She said she is willing to do a workshop for us, perhaps at the Parent Institute, or the Parent Summit that we have coming up in May. So I got her information, I gave it to Chris Campbell, and he's gonna actually see if he can fit that into the schedule. But it was a very good, lot of good information. Having a child that's had concussions and have in one sport and kids that haven't, it was, I thought I knew a lot about it, but it was really good. And if it's something that we can bring to our parents. There were several Plymouth parents in that room, but I think if we can bring it to all the parents, it would be a good thing.
And that is what Chris said in the
Oh,
prior
that's
update, right?
Yeah.
Or that Dr. Campbell is working on the Parent Institute where it could possibly be a breakout session.
So we have a contact now that can actually hold the
Make that
workshop.
happen. Good. Okay. Common Core Park informational video. And Ms. Badger noted having attended an advocacy subcommittee meeting a couple of weeks ago and mentioned questions relative to the Common Core in Park. She suggested it might be helpful to produce a small video similar to the full-day kindergarten video. Dr. Campbell inquired if it would be similar to the information he shared during the Mask Park presentation, and Ms. Badger concurred. Dr. Campbell then indicated it could be done in a variety of mediums. Any update on that, or we
No,
just
no, I
still,
don't have
that's
an
something we'll
update.
work on over the
I did-
summer, maybe?
Yeah, I haven't talked to Dr. Campbell on this particular issue.
Okay.
I do know that there's going to be an informational session at the Institute, so maybe that could be recorded.
The next one was the Chapter 74 at North and South High, and the last entry was the update from when Mrs. Fry, Mr. Hanna, and Ms. McSweeney were here and gave us an update. I think you can give us a follow-up now on what that was. I think 3 kids actually.
Yeah, we had 3 students that actually took the option to apply. And I believe 2 out of the 3 were, I know 3 kids applied.
Reapplied and,
I think 2 out of 3 were actually accepted, so I believe that's what the outcome was.
okay. So now that one can get closed. And that's the last one on the list. Anybody have anything new they want to add? Okay. All right, good. And so now we have the reports and proposals from the superintendent.
Yeah, I'm trying to, let me pull mine up. All right. Over the next 2 weeks, I will be presenting at all our schools. So typically I give a budget update to all our schools, going over exactly what the budget looks like and the outcomes of town meetings. So I think our highest day will be this Wednesday. We have 4 presentations this Wednesday. But I like to go to the schools and kind of give our staff an idea of exactly what it takes to build a budget and what the budget is. That's kind of eye-opening, I think. Also, we'll talk about full day K and let them know, very thankful to town meeting for that. I did mention last meeting, but again, I will mention it at this meeting that Katie Greer will be presenting at all our schools next week, the week after vacation. And it'll be Monday and Tuesday. There will be a presentation on Tuesday evening at North High School, and this is, she's the presenter on social media and electronic devices and the issues that parents should be aware of. Our presentation will be for grades 3 through 5, and we are going to actually have our 5th graders from Plymouth South Middle School go down to the Plymouth South Elementary and actually watch that presentation as well. It was mentioned earlier tonight about Drugstore Theater. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of that. It is something that you might want to go see, and that is April 14th at North. That's open to anyone across the district, and it's really targeted for parents, not necessarily kids. So that would be something that you may want to attend. And then I just wanted to acknowledge town meeting. I know we did mention it earlier, but town meeting was a full day and a night, and I would like to thank all town meeting members for their support of the full EAK program, the school budget. It was a testament, I think, to the commitment the community has for education, and it was a good night. It was a long process, but I think people really appreciate town meeting. So with that said, that's my report for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Costin, you're going to cover for Dr. Gould for retirements? No, sorry.
I will do that.
Sorry about that.
We have things split up. Dr. Gould, since we did move this meeting, both Dr. Gould and Dr. Campbell had commitments tonight, so we're taking them. So retirements, we had 3 retirements. We had Lori Cash, moderate special needs teacher at Cold Spring Elementary, 27 years of service. Marcia Close, grade 2 classroom at South Elementary School, 23 years of service. And Martha Morales, house secretary, 23 years of service at Plymouth South Middle School.
Ms. Badger?
On behalf of the Plymouth Public Schools School Committee, I'd like to thank these 3 individuals for their 73 years of commitment to the district and wish them a happy retirement.
Thank you. And we didn't have any correspondence, so we can go right into our job descriptions now. Mr. Costin, that you're covering for us. Thank you. Got that mixed up.
Correct.
I apologize.
Dr. Gould does not let me touch retirement, so. We have 3 job descriptions tonight to be approved. The first one is the Special Education Financial Secretary. We've added some language about grant management experience, a little bit of reporting language to the Director of Special Education, a change in title. And the big change is the number of days from 200 to 220 days per year.
Ms. Badger?
I have, on point 4, on that first, under qualifications, it says advanced experience using word processing, spreadsheets, and web-based applications. Shouldn't it be advanced knowledge? I mean, experience,
Can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
it says advanced experience. Should it be advanced knowledge? Because, I mean, experience is one thing, but like, I mean, I guess they can mean the same thing, but when I read it, it sounded weird. Bless you.
Thank you.
No, experience with. So advanced experience
Knowledge of
using.
I just thought it advanced knowledge. Oh my God.
Go either way, I guess.
Yeah, I just thought it sounded strange.
Sounds okay, I think.
It was just
Seems okay. Nice try.
just sharing that I thought it sounded weird.
All right. And that's not a new position, right? It's just that change
No,
wording.
just a change.
Do I have, we're taking them one at a time? Yeah. Let's, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'm going to have to add motions for the second and third. I have
So
one
you were
motion.
planning on doing them all in one shot?
Well, the way it's set up right now it is,
Good.
but I could add the motion.
We can do it.
No, it's
Why
fine,
don't
it's
we
fine,
do it
it's fine, it's fine.
Okay.
So the next one is the school athletic department bus driver.
Correct. We had, the last job description that we had for this was, I believe you had to get out and crank the front of the bus to get it going. It was 1987, so
Push the bus anyway.
I wasn't expecting that.
you can tell I'm feeling better, right? We got over that cold. We actually only had one job description. Now we have created two. The reason being is that, obviously to reflect what we're expecting now today in a bus driver. But we also have a bus driver and we have a person who supervises, oversees all the buses, and the bus driver schedules all the bus drivers for the athletic department. So we felt that there should be two job descriptions for that position. For one, for the drivers who are essentially on-call drivers, who are scheduled, and the coordinator who really works every day. And I know that position, honestly, that person is intending on retiring, and so we need to have a job description that reflects the vacancy that will exist.
So the driver is on call.
The drivers,
No
we have a
hours.
group of drivers who we rotate through based on their availability and desire of, some people don't like to drive into Boston, some people are not able to drive, they have other commitments. So we have a group of drivers that are paid an hourly rate based on the schedule and the needs. And we have someone who is here, 200 plus days a year to oversee the buses, to schedule, to take the trips during the day that occur, the field trips. As you know, we try to use only our buses, handles the maintenance, the training of the drivers, all of those items.
Okay, Dr. Sorensen?
Just a question on the school athletic department bus driver. Number 1 is the valid Class B, C, D, L license. I'm assuming that means a valid license to operate a school bus.
It's a bus license for a commercial driver's license.
So then why do we need number 3?
Ability to operate a school bus over designated routes.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a valid license, don't you have the ability to drive the bus?
We hope you do, but also to remember the routes or to know the routes where they're going.
Oh, so if you want, so the emphasis here is not the ability to drive the bus, to negotiate the routes, to understand the
I
routes.
would think
It's not about driving the bus.
Correct.
Routes and condition of routes.
What?
All right, okay, all right, thank you.
Very good, so that's the 3 of them. So now, do I have a motion? Mr. Morgan?
I'll make a motion to approve the job descriptions as presented.
And Ms. Hunt seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the superintendent's annual plan update. So Dr. Maestas, you're going to give us a readout on
Yes,
status.
in preparation for this time of the year, with my goals, I have provided an update in December, and this is a March update presented here in April. But this kind of gives you an update of where we are with my goals that I set forth at the beginning of the school year. The first goal was really the strategic plan and how we were going to work with the strategic plan. And I think you all know that it has moved forward. We've gone to publication. One of the things that was positive, last Friday I went to the PYDC meeting, and one of the attendees brought her card, and she said, everything that I've done for PYDC is based on this card, and that's really the district mission and goals and how it all ties in with what we're working on with PYDC. So I thought it's working, and I think people have recognized that it's a great document. I've actually heard from other school districts that have asked how we put it together, how did that whole structure work. So I think people are recognizing that it's not only a useful document, but it's easy to manage and it's well put together. So the strategic plan has been completed, it's been distributed. We'll have copies, and I'll reference it when I give the presentation on the 25th. But I think that is something that I've urged our principals, coordinators, and directors to share this document with all staff when they set up goal meetings for evaluation, so that those goals are relative to the strategic plan. So that is done, and it's on the street. We have copies everywhere. It's online if people would like to get familiar with that. The next goal was the full day K program, and I think a lot of you, all of us have been tracking this from day one, from touring buildings to putting the budget together to presenting it within the budget. And I'll tell you that, like I mentioned in my comments earlier, we're very fortunate that we have a supportive stakeholder group in the town of Plymouth that have helped us to move this agenda item forward. When I wrote this before town meeting was closed, and my comments on this document tonight indicate that once town meeting is closed, we'll find out the fate of full day K. Well, I think we know it, and we've moved forward with that. So two big pieces, two big goals are off the radar for now. The next one is goal 3, and that's the community of Plymouth, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the nation are in the midst of a drug abuse epidemic. Although the school department has not seen an influx of drug-dependent students, the awareness of healthy living to promote lifelong wellness is a leading conversation that travel throughout the district and community. So this goal was really, looking at how do we demonstrate to our students that taking care of yourself is really important. I go around the district talking about achieving your dreams and setting high goals. If you land up making a bad decision, you can compromise that, and that's what we've been trying to share with our students. This year we've introduced the BOX program across the district. We introduced that in conjunction with Harvard and Reebok, the Harvard Medical School, and we've done a significant study. You did hear the preliminary results of the phase 1 of the study. When phase 2 of the study is complete, I'll bring the information forward to you. And one of the compelling, there are some compelling evidence points that I think you'll be interested in hearing once the study is complete. But our kids are really enjoying the morning workout activity. And then, as you all know, I will be engaging on a bike ride here in June. I know Ms. Badger is getting tuned up for that. But our goal is to engage students, engage our community on wellness, and we believe that this goal will be complete, of course, with the Reeboks program that's in the works. And the Dream Ride 2 is in the works for June, and we are well in the midst of planning that, and we believe that that will be, that goal will be met. The next goal is relative to Plymouth South High School, looking at facilities. The commitment to South High School, although there's a commitment from the community to build South High School, I think everyone realizes that you can't rest when you got a building project going up. We have met some significant benchmarks. We are on target for completion of the construction project building on September of 2017. The topping off ceremony went well. I think it was a monumental day for our students and the people that worked diligently for many years to get that project moved forward. So I think that is something that we are all proud of. But again, although this goal did have some significant benchmarks throughout this year, we will have many more for 2 more years as we get Plymouth South High School complete and as we get the grounds and fields complete as well. Keep in mind that's relative to South High School and town meeting. I'm not sure the community realizes that we did also get the digital sign approved for South High School. So we will have a similar sign as North High School with that. Goal 6, I did spend a good amount of time with our administrative staff, probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes before every PCD, Principal Coordinator Director meeting, discussing the Gladwell book, David and Goliath. I sometimes put things into context, especially how we have to look at ourselves as the small entity that needs to make a big bang. And I think that's one of the things that I really tried to infuse in our administrators is that sometimes when things are difficult, we need to rely on our resources internally to really help us to make our school district what it can be. The Gladwell book was the premise for that, or the document that I used to engage in that conversation. I believe our administrators, I think if they sat back now, I think they really took a lot out of that document. So I do have, it was great preparing for that book because I actually let different people lead sections of it. So just, as I work through my goals, I think, although they're written, it's a written document, but I'll tell you, I think it's really helped our district to move forward in a lot of these areas this year. It's helped to focus, and that's the whole idea of having the strategic plan and having goals. So I think this year we're able to accomplish that. Of course, as I look at these goals, they don't end, they keep moving. As time goes on, I know we have to look at my evaluation, and I think we have 1 meeting, is that correct, left before
After the 25th.
restructuring?
Well, if you count April to
You don't
25th,
count the
it'd be
25th.
2.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
So we need to,
So we gotta go through this.
yes. So to you, Mr. Begley, I think it's one of the things that I will collect a variety of other things that have happened in the district from day 1 to today, and then I will share that document with the committee relative to strategic planning and what's happened this year. So you can use for that process.
So because we use the evaluation tool, there's a lot that go above and beyond these goals.
Yep.
So if you could give us feedback of the other stuff that the state identifies as, the touch points throughout the year, that would speak.
I'll break them out that way.
So
Yeah,
when would we
spec-
get this so that we can do this before the earlier May meeting?
By the end of the month.
We'd need them before
We'll
then.
get it on,
Sorry.
No, please, go ahead.
So our first meeting, or the next meeting after the 25th is the 2nd.
yes, we have to.
And then we
it
have to, so
before.
we have to do it on the 2nd because the elections are the 14th,
We have
correct?
to do it on the 2nd.
Correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
14? Yeah.
so we have to have it.
On the
I'm like,
20th.
who
Well,
knows?
what about,
Saw this.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
well,
almost the
give me a
25th.
week, I'll put it together.
Yeah, okay.
The chair usually gives us to it a week ahead of time.
Yeah.
We only need a week to do it.
Yeah.
Week,
Correct.
that's all we need.
Yeah.
is a week.
Yeah.
However,
I knew he was going to say that.
if I can stress, please, even if you have no feedback, send me something saying you have
Says
no feedback.
Okay.
But I would prefer that everybody use the evaluation form and send me something, some positive reporting is what I'm looking for, that, I reviewed this section, I have no feedback, rather than,
And ignoring it.
other than one or two feedbacks, I usually don't have any input, and I'm there trying to write the whole thing, and then I'm concerned that
Everything.
not everything is being covered. It's because it's going to be largely from my point of view. So I really, if you can give me
Wants help.
Dr. Sorensen gave me a very good write-up last year. So that's what I'm looking for, that sort of feedback.
But to that point, Mr. Begley, I'll have something to the committee in a week.
Okay,
Perfect.
that would be helpful.
And then funnel to me, don't wait for the meeting. As soon as you have it and you have your, your input, funnel it to me as soon as you have it. So I can start digesting it and seeing if we're sharing the same opinions, and because I have to write the summary.
You say soon, that could be, mean different things to different people. So do you want like a date? So like the 27th or the 26th? Like how long do you need to write it?
Put it in there when he's.
You know what
sends
I'm
it out
saying?
to us.
I can,
I
don't want
put
to
it
say
on my
that
calendar, that's
I
all.
made this mistake in prior years. I say that, don't worry, I can turn it around pretty quick. And the end result is I get it like
Everything
the
on
day
Friday?
before.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say I can turn it around really quick, so.
You can't turn that around.
But pick a date. You're my scheduling person. What,
Well, I'd want it on the Wednesday, so that gives you a couple days and it doesn't,
good, so the Wednesday is
the
what?
27th.
So can I have all the feedback by Wednesday, the 27th?
So,
Does that sound
4/27.
doable?
Do,
When's this, April 27th?
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're going to be receiving something before
He's
Yeah.
going to have something to you by the end of the week, or within a week.
Within a week, he said, give him a week. So,
Okay.
and that'll give us.
Good?
Yep.
Little homework,
Okay.
I just like dates.
The next item is fundraising. Anybody have any feedback on any of the fundraising activities that have taken place that are in our update tonight? If not, then we'll move on to reports and proposals from committee meeting members. Who wants to start? I know we've been all over the place, so. Ms. Hunt?
Let me stop. I know that there's two things this week, and I mentioned a little bit about one of them. The Massachusetts PTA Annual Conference was this past Saturday. It was held in Plymouth. Stephanie Gray, who is a Plymouth resident, is the outgoing president. It was nice. We saw representatives from Indian Brook, West School, Nathaniel Morton, and were there. Actually, all three of those schools won various awards, which was nice, as well as Plymouth South Middle School. And the Mass PTA Principal of the Year Award went to Michael Spencer, which was great, so he was there. They're trying to scale it down a little bit, just to make it a half a day, so there was only one workshop, and it was on, well, actually, there was two. It was one on advocacy, which was great, because it was nice to hear the parents being told that as PTAs, a lot of their job is more of an advocacy role than like fundraising and bake sales, but that they do have the power to actually fight for issues within their school. And then there was the concussion clinic, and focus group, which I told you about, which was great. So that was a nice, it was a nice afternoon. And then the other thing was we all, some of us went to the NSBA, National School Boards Association Conference this weekend. I just wanted to talk really quickly. One of the workshops that I went to was, and I pulled it up so I would remember what it was called here. It was on college and career counseling, and it was about how school guidance counselors can mentor and guide the students through their 4 years of high school to make sure that they're taking the best and most efficient classes for what they want to accomplish in college and career. I took away a lot of it. stuff that I think that we could be doing better, as well as, they have mentors, and there's a lot that we do, but there's this one district that presented was a district from Illinois, and they do partnership with families, they do mentors, they do internships, they do virtual internships, because they have some areas where students can't get to their internships. But they start planning with these kids. It talked a lot about technical schools. It talked about, they mentioned biotech, which is what, biomed, which what we're doing. But tracking student data, but starting in like middle school, identifying what the students might have an interest in. And yeah, the kids don't know when they're in, my son's a senior and he just figured out what he wants to study next year, but just kind of gives them a nice goal. And it also uses the guidance counselors as more as of mentors, where they actually spend a lot of time actually guiding the students, which I thought was something that we might be able to look at this whole model and improve upon a little bit. So the good thing, and I'm sure you guys will mention this too, is they had an app for the convention. So where we had literally 20 workshops to choose from each session, we actually have all the handouts for all of the sessions. So if there's anything that was interesting, we could still have the materials. So that was pretty much my report.
Mr. Morgan, you were there too. Did you want to add?
No, I thought it was a good conference. I thought the guest speakers did a nice job.
That was great.
Multiple sessions, and even the exhibit floor, you got to, pick and choose you want to see, and see different products, and, a lot of them look great if you have the money. So, it was good, and I also I attended the all-town orchestra that played, and it was elementary, middle school, and high school, and they work so hard, and they really did a nice job. So
Very good. Ms. Badger?
Work our way down, sure. I know Mr. Morgan also went to the Robotics Rally because his son was in it. And that was really cool to watch the kids, how excited they got. I didn't get to stay for very long, but to see them all working together. And the cutest little boy was walking out with his dad and his little sister. And the little boy couldn't contain himself. And his dad was like, "Did you have a great day? Did you have a good time?" And he said, "It was the best day ever." And the dad goes, "Why?" And he goes, "Because I got to play video games and build robots, and they let me do it, all I wanted." And it was like the perfect moment. I couldn't have walked by at a better time. He was so excited. And it was just really cute to watch them, the robotics. Some of them were, had clearly done it longer than the others, but it was wonderful. We had the Pilgrim Area Collaborative, and I know the last meeting I told you all about that there's the neurotypical that they're going to be showing on Wednesday night, which you have to RSVP for, but it should be really interesting. I know that some of the South High School kids are going to that presentation in the AP Psychology class, so that should be really cool. Let's see, the Alumni Association, we have our next meeting on April 28th at 6. We had a packed room this time. It was great. We had we had a visitor and one new alumnus, so that was,
Wow.
we're gonna be out of our little conference room soon. But we had a presentation from Indian Brook, and we've been able to help Indian Brook and put some of their materials that they had on paper on a website, so they're able to access stuff about the playground, so they've shared that, which is really good. Let's see, we're working on a Harris directory. We're working with Harris Direct to put together a directory of all Plymouth alumni. So people will be getting phone calls and mailings to their home, asking them to update their information so that hopefully we can have a better base to pull from. Right now, we only have people who've signed up through the system, and so this will allow us to hopefully contact and reach out to more people. So we're excited about that. And so the NSBA, like everyone was talking about, I had the opportunity to attend a handful of sessions. I think some of them are more realistic than others, and some of them also showed me that we're in a good spot.
place,
I mean, I did a safety, one of the study halls on safety, and the whole time I was like, yeah, I get it, okay. Like, are we gonna get something new? And then the end came, and I was like, oh, okay, we're good, I'm glad. I mean, I thought so, but it was nice to hear professionals saying it outside of the district. I went to most of actually all my sessions, except for one, were college and career ready kind of focused, what's going to happen in the future of education. The one theme that I did hear over and over and over again but it was mostly from Texas and Tennessee and places like that in the South, is that a lot of the schools are implementing 2-year associates so they graduate, and they also graduate with an associate's degree, which was really interesting, but very interesting. A lot of them they were taught by professors in the school, and they had the option of taking like a U.S. history class from a teacher or a U.S. history class from the college. So it's a very interesting way of how they did it. That was a reoccurring theme. Even one school, you could graduate with a bachelor's degree, and I was like, kind of blew my mind as to how that even would work. But that was the big theme that we saw. And then Miss Hunt and I went to a IT luncheon, which was really interesting. It was a presentation on, I just lost the name of
Spare Parts.
Spare Parts, the movie Spare Parts. It was a group from Arizona. What do they say? Like 80% of their kids come from undocumented. So clearly English isn't their first language. So it was a teacher who's not even an engineering teacher, and he was like, this first robotics was like a great thing for our kids to get into. So he was looking at that, and then he looked, and they did that for like a year, and then they got into underwater robotics. And he wanted to enter them into a college-level robotics class, because he said, hey, if we can win college, or if we can just lose in college, at least we lost to colleges and not to our peers. And so he actually started up, and he put a list up and said, these are the schools that we're going to be playing against. We're going to be up against Stanford, MIT, and the kids actually asked, who's MIT? Because they had never heard of what MIT was. So long story short, the kids created this robot, and they surpassed anything that they thought they would be able to do. They came in first place, and the movie's either came out or is coming out in December. We couldn't tell. And
George Lopez is in it.
Is in it. And then they're also doing a documentary. And I'm telling you, you got goosebumps because you just were watching watching some of the footage and what the kids have done since then. It is amazing. We've got what was he, an engineer, it was some chemical engineer, I think. One of the kids is in the Army. So it was a movie for us all to watch. And I think that's about it, the highlights of the conference.
I'm Robin Roberts.
Sorry, I kept going.
No, that's what we want you to do. That's
Robin
good.
Roberts, too.
Dr. Sorensen, then I'll come to you. Only he had his hand up before.
Oh, I thought we were just going like this.
You got me in deep already. Go
Gotcha.
ahead.
Two things. Two things is through the chair, I'd like to have a very, very brief executive session at the end of tonight's meeting to discuss a matter of student safety and security. If that would be okay. Or if you want to not do it this evening, next time we have an executive session, we have a matter that I want to bring forth to the committee.
No, if you think it's important enough.
Well, it can wait. It's not an emergency, but it's
Then-
something that has to be addressed.
Then I didn't have it on the agenda, so
Okay,
then
that's
let's
at
tackle
your
it on the
discretion.
next one then?
Sure,
As
at
long
your
as it's not-
discretion.
If it's something that we should,
Nope,
Okay.
it can
Can we
wait.
do it before the 25th meeting?
we'll do it on the next.
You
gonna
can
have
do it
time
whenever,
tonight.
whenever we have our next
25th,
executive
yeah.
session, okay? It's not an
Next
emergency.
meeting.
I wanted to tell you that last Thursday night, I attended the meeting at Plymouth South High School with the parents of the track team and the track coaches and the school administration and the athletic director from Plymouth South High School. I want to tell you that our track coaches, our principal, and our athletic director did an outstanding job at that meeting. The parents came in very, very concerned that girls' track was getting a second-class role this year, and the coaches did an amazing job explaining to the parents that practicing in a parking lot is something they opted to do. Both of these coaches came from other schools with championship teams that didn't have tracks. They always practiced in parking lots, and there's reason for that, and they gave the reasons, one of them being at the beginning of the season, certainly we could have sent some of the runners to North, we could have sent some of them to Jungleplex, we could have had some of them on the parking lot, but they wanted to have unity of a team, so they wanted them all there together. So they made deliberate decisions as to why they practiced in the parking lot. And the presentation was excellent, and I think at the end of the meeting, the parents felt much better about their concerns. I think they really put everything down. I don't know if Dr. Maestas got any reports after that, but it was a great meeting.
Yeah, I did receive feedback from that meeting, and I believe that the concerns that were presented to some of you by parents were really answered. It seemed to have gone very, very well. I had 2 other meetings that night. I was planning on going to that, but I had 2 other meetings, one after another. But I understand it went very well. Yeah.
I had gotten quite a bit of lead-in to that, and I had two phone calls
yeah.
with Scott Fry and Patty, and so I was happy. They were open to taking feedback and tweaking their PowerPoint and stuff like that. So I'm happy that it went
very
as
well.
well as it did. And I haven't gotten any repeat
No,
calls
no.
or emails since then. So I'm assuming everybody is.
Thank you.
Oh, you're coming.
Mrs. Burgess, yeah.
That's okay. I was away for
Saving the
3
best for
weeks.
last.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I was away for 3 weeks, so I haven't got a whole huge report. But no one touched on the fact, kind of, that as soon as I got back, the first day, there was a caucus, and we were going to caucuses for the town meeting. And then, of course, we attended town meeting 2 nights in a row, so we've been really busy with that, and it was very fruitful, and I think that the community responded to us very well. The other thing is that yesterday, I went, the League of Women Voters had the second annual Civics Bee at the Spire downtown, and there were 6 schools involved, and again, Plymouth North High School came out on top. So they took the trophy back again, and that's really about it. But I want to congratulate Plymouth North for winning that bee. It went all the way, too. They had 40 questions the first time, and they totaled them, and the second time, then for a final round, they went and they had 15 questions for the last 2 contenders that were tied, and then they still were tied. So they started a round of quick questions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whoever got it, won it,
That's
and
good.
and North did at that point. So they really had to go all the way to do it. So, yeah.
Very good. I would just like to repeat on town meeting our appreciation of all the hard work. I think the public doesn't realize all the hours of hard work that our staff and this committee puts in to make some of these articles a reality. And on this one, we went to all the caucuses. Mr. Costin and Dr. Maestas went to every caucus. We went to several of the caucuses. Some of them were welcoming and some not so welcoming, but we still worked our way through all of them. And I think when we got to the floor of town meeting, a lot of the questions had already been addressed and answered, and so people felt confident voting the way they did. And even on the following night, when it looked like things were going to, there was an effort to overturn what we had already done. Even that we were prepared for, and everything went smoothly. So once again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for that. And then if I could just add what I got out of the conference, I tried to stay on the technical. No surprise there, basically a geek. So I stayed on the technical session, breakout sessions, and I got a lot of really good information on early coding. Again, as to what you guys were both saying, to echo some of your comments, it's nice to find out that your district is ahead of a lot of these sessions. People are pitching things as something you should be doing, it's nice to sit there and know, I think we're doing that
Doing
already.
that
We already
already.
have that, and the vendors say, oh, the vendors greet you with, when they look at your tag and see where you're from, they go, oh, you're one of our customers, we have you, we have you. So that was really good. I'd like to see it expanded. There was a presentation I saw on introducing computer science, obviously, to the elementary school level, and then staying with it and pushing it through, because it's a major thing that our society is going to be looking for in the next, going forward. We saw some really good presentations, but one was with two young ladies from the middle schools in Illinois that were saying that they had a very intensive computer science experience. They actually won. They came in first place nationally, and they came in third place internationally in the competition. But the point that they were trying to drive home was, it was because the principal in their school was so committed to this new curriculum, if you will. The high school that they were about to move into wasn't so committed to it. There was no computer science. So here are kids that competed at an international level, did really well, and now they're going to hit high school and it's going to stop. So the message was that we not only have to get that out there, we have to get it across all grade levels and just push it through. And it's important that their big takeaway was certification. No one can really agree on how do you certify a teacher for computer science instruction in the elementary and the higher grades. Everybody knows that you have it at the college level, but the lower levels, there's really no certification, and it's a big area that advocacy should really look at and continue to push forward. And the other last part they did was, there was another presentation I went to where they were advocating, Mr. Morgan and I went there, it was the online learning environments. And they were advocating a Khan Academy sort of approach. It was a different vendor, but that sort of approach where there was that immediate reinforcement. Do a lesson and see, did the lesson take? Before I wait 3 weeks and give them a test and find out then that they didn't get they didn't understand something, it's much better if I can get the technology to give me that instant feedback before we move on. Absolutely. Or to even be able to target that there were, 4 or 5 kids in an entire classroom that didn't get it, so I can focus in on them and give them that attention that they need before they move on. So there was a lot of good ideas, a lot of good use of technology and moving things forward. So I thought it was well.
This is
Mrs. Bursch, go
kind
ahead.
of technical, I guess. No, I had said to you in the fall that Jacob Joby from the Plymouth South High School had interviewed John for, about World War II. I didn't know how that came out until Jacob was visiting us at Rotary Club today. And afterwards, I said to him, about that video, I got a copy and everything, but I said about that video, did you ever win anything on that one? Because he's won other awards before. And he said, yes, 3rd nationally.
Very good.
So that was really great. Yeah,
Very good.
3rd nationally, so
senior, right?
congratulations to
He's a senior
Jacob for that.
itself? He went to Japan with us.
Yes.
He went to Japan with me when I
Yeah,
went.
yeah, because, we sent him to Japan the time before this, yeah.
Okay, so let's
Good kid.
move on now. So the next topic is the PYDC. Do we have anything you want to pull out of the minutes and stuff?
I think if you take a look at them, you can have a good sense of the complexity of the agendas. I mean, there's a lot of topics that are being covered at PYDC. These are back in February and March, so you can actually get a flavor of what those agendas are. So just keep in mind that any of you are more than welcome to come if you're available on a Friday morning. I know it might be difficult.
Hard, yeah.
But I tell you, the conversation is good. If you take a look at the
Friday morning?
Friday, they're,
First Friday of the month.
Oh,
yeah, first Friday of the month.
Oh, first Friday,
Yeah.
okay.
So, I mean, they're pretty,
It's a difficult time
Yeah.
if you have,
And that's early. What time is it at?
8 o'clock at Beth Israel
Okay,
in the new building.
in the new building.
Yeah. The one that's by the helipad.
It's in the minutes, the locations in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, if, I'm not a good morning person, so
Yeah.
I'm a great night person.
Next, we have reports from the building committee.
Yeah,
Did you
this
guys meet?
Thursday, this Thursday.
You're going to meet, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna, unfortunately, it's on the same night as,
I have like 3
The
things that
drug,
night.
theater.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's-
try to get in, yeah.
I'd
gonna be a
love to
busy
go to
night.
that
Yeah.
drug theater, and then we've got the, yeah, anyway, we have conflicts.
Okay. Who's going to do the appointments?
I am.
leaves? Dr. Maestas,
Yes,
appointments,
I-
leaves of absence,
Yes,
and
tonight,
resignations.
we have coach advisor appointments, we have 4. We have classified appointments, we have 2. We have long-term leave of absences, we have 3, and resignations, we have 4.
Okay. Very good. Next, we have one homeschooling plan to be approved tonight, and everyone's reviewed it. Do we have a motion? Ms. Badger?
I move that we approve the home education plan as presented.
And Mr. Morgan seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have the accounts payable warrant. Ms. Badger?
Whereas school committee members have been provided with a copy of the cost center transfer and transaction summary report and warrant for review, I move the Plymouth School Committee accept and approve the reports and accounts payable warrant S040716 dated April 7th, 2016, in the amount of $817,103.42 as presented.
Do we have a second? Ms. Hunt seconds it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, now, there's some in the room that are going to say this is a fluke, but if you look at the clock, it's almost 8:36. Mrs. Dargy?
That's not
Oh,
bad.
weird.
She estimated it that it would end at 8:36. She got it right to the second.
That's crazy.
So without any objection, we're adjourned.